So the first episode of Dororo has finally been released, and I have to say, for my first taste of one of the series from The Godfather of manga being brought to life in a modern way thanks to MAPPA and another team here, I have to say it gave me everything that I was hoping for. Just based on the description, based on everything that I was hearing about this, it sounded like this was going to be an anime right up my alley. But I have to say, if you're into samurais, you're into historical Japanese pieces with an interesting take on demons and gods and everything like that, with a lot of savagery and brutality, this is going to be an anime right up your alley. This is a story where you have a guy who essentially makes a deal with the devil, but in this case, it's multiple and multiple demons saying, I will give you anything you want if you let me rule my country and have peace on my land. The issue with that is when you offer a deal that kind of vague, the demons are going to take something that's probably going to screw you over, and his newborn son gets born without limbs, eyes, ears. He's essentially dead. No skin. It's absolutely disgusting. So disgusting I won't even show the image here because I don't know if YouTube would like that. But seriously, this was interesting because when you have such a really disgusting story, like just starting it off like that, you know you're going to be in for a ride. And obviously the guy's going to live. And it seems like the Buddha statue was actually something that might have saved him because only the head of the Buddha came off when lightning was striking around. So it seems like the way gods and the demons are kind of intertwined, it seems like there is these curses, but also maybe a bit of holy protection as well sprinkled across the land. And when you see the guy as an adult, he's literally a walking doll. He has prosthetic arms, limbs, he wears masks, he literally has blades for arms. Like, it's so interesting. Silent protagonist, which I'm sure he's probably not going to stay silent based on the fact that after the episode ends, it seems like he starts getting actual skin and eyeballs and things like that. So it's hard to tell if he's going to actually stay silent or not. I don't think so. But for starting you off with a very silent protagonist and you got this kid, it's kind of fun because you have this guy who essentially was abandoned by his father, really didn't care because he's the type of person in the past who he can make another son. He essentially got exactly what he wanted, his lands that he could rule and essentially be the ultimate king. And I really like this because you don't get to see stories this brutal but kind of like realistic for the time period that much. Of course, you got the demons and the Buddha statues and things like that, but at the end of the day, you feel like this is something that naturally would happen, that if you were in this time period, people would try to make deals like this so they could rule their land no matter the cost. And I really enjoyed that. The way the visuals actually work with the story, I think, is what's really helping this, because you got this really interesting aesthetic to it. Like, you look at the character designs, you look at the backgrounds, it's crisp, it's clean, it's gorgeous, but they're not afraid to play around with lines and not always make everything crisp and clean. They're okay with making things a bit more rigid and a bit more rough. It really makes the visuals pop, especially when you see the demons or monsters that are going to be fought, and the way the blood is used. It's not just like throwing blood in your face. It actually feels like blood is actually going to mean something, like, holy shit, that actually looks brutal, but there's a creative and artistic mind behind the way the blood was splattering. It sounds weird, but trust me, when you watch the episode, you'll know what I'm talking about. I just really like how this feels so fresh. Like, it doesn't feel like anything that I've seen over the past few years, not just from MAPPA, but studios in general. Having a guy who essentially lost his limbs, lost his skin, lost everything that makes us who we are, but somehow was still breathing, probably thanks to divine Buddha interfering with the demons. He essentially gets to live a life as a walking doll who might be able to act like a person now because of whatever happened at the end of the episode, but still, you're watching a guy who's going to have to travel across the land, fight demons. That sounds fun. It absolutely does. Of course, we don't know exactly how great the character development will be and things like that, because until we get going in the series, it will be hard to tell, but based on just introducing us to this world, showcasing the demons and the gods and just the brutality, it really feels like this is a series that isn't afraid to play around. It's not going to just say, this is a main character, he can live and he doesn't have to suffer. Absolutely, he can suffer, and it's kind of fun. We got this like kid who's basically robbing people blind and reselling their goods. I think everything that a first episode in this type of setting should do, it pretty much did. Like, the opening's really catchy, the ending's catchy, but it's really just the way the visuals are working with this kind of like very creepy atmosphere. Like, you look at our kind of silent protagonist here, and he's so weird to look at. He's just this faceless doll, but he somehow can sense things and he's able to fight so naturally. He obviously has a good heart, as he does save people from falling into a river or getting killed by a monster. It's really interesting how they're able to get so much emotion from a wordless hero at this point in time. I really do hope he will speak possibly in the future, because if he can, that'll obviously allow for a lot more character development than if he stays silent. But if they can continue on this path of really letting the imagery and just the actions of others help this character kind of flourish, then they obviously could keep them like that. I love it whenever there's demons and gods and hideous monsters in a story, but it's not all that story is. Like, it's not just you're gonna constantly see demons, so obviously they're gonna fight demons, they're gonna fight demonic spirits, something like that, but it's fun when you do have these characters who are still human, but their world definitely has some demonic and religious practices kind of built into it. And that's quite fun. Honestly, Dororo Episode 1, I think, is going to be an anime a lot of people are going to dig. Honestly, if you're not into a maybe gory series and things like that, maybe some of it's going to be a little hard to look at, especially when that baby was born. That was pretty disgusting. In terms of the actual character designs, the animation, obviously we won't know how great the animation will look, 5 weeks from now, but if they keep it on this path where they're using a lot of interesting artistic techniques, by really letting the character models kind of bend and move in really creative ways to help really feel like things are demonic and unnatural as they're fighting these very unnatural beings, while also keeping it grounded in reality in the more simplistic scenes with how the character models are really crisp and popping out. This is not only going to be one of the best animated shows of the season, but I think it will be one of the best developed, because you don't see a premise like this that often. A guy literally selling his son out to demons so he can rule over a kingdom, and seemingly this guy is gonna want revenge. That's pretty exciting. I love this first episode. It's very, very fun. Hopefully everyone is enjoying it just as much as I am, but if you did watch episode 1, let me know whatever you're feeling down in that comment section below. Did you love it? Did you hate? Your favorite moment? Where do you think episode 2 is going to go next week? Let me know. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and also hit that subscribe button if you want some more content from me in the future. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.